In this video, I want to show you how easy it is to create a simple Amazon S3 bucket and what you can do with that. So here we are in the Amazon AWS homepage, and we're going to go into S3. So I can go down here to Storage and click on S3, which brings me into the Amazon S3 main interface. And you see here to the left I have my buckets. For this video, I'm going to walk you through creating a brand new bucket. So it's really easy to do. Right from the main page here, you click on the Create Bucket button here, and it brings up a simple wizard that will walk you through what you need to do to get a bucket created. The first word of warning I will give you is that every bucket name needs to be unique. So when you're coming up with a bucket name, sometimes it can be hard to come up with something that's unique and also meaningful to you. And so what I recommend is coming up with a series of characters that would denote all of your buckets, whether it's going to be a phrase or a name or some sort of a marker, so you know all of your buckets start with the same name. So that way, whatever you put behind that marker, you can be anything you want, because that will make the bucket name unique. So for me, I like to make it SSWP, and I'll put a dash, and then it says here it cannot end with a dash or period, so that's fine. I'm going to put YouTube test. YouTube test. Okay, not the best bucket name to use, but for this example, it's going to be fine. Now that you've got the bucket name created, you can go to select your region. Depending on where your users are or where you want this data stored, you will select your region here. And this shows you all available Amazon S3 regions that you can store the data. And from this one interface, you can store data all over the world, depending on what region you put the bucket in. And you can only have a bucket in one region at a time. So for me, I live on the East Coast of the United States, so I'm going to select US East, Northern Virginia. And if I wanted to take some of the settings, some more advanced features of an existing bucket and clone it into this bucket, I can do that here by selecting one of the existing buckets. But for this example, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to create a simple bucket. So I'll go ahead and click Next. And here's where you set some of the basic properties of your bucket. And I'll walk through these with you. So versioning, if you're going to be updating files in this bucket, you want to make sure that when you overwrite a file, whether it's a video, a PDF, a document, whatever it is, if you want the older versions to be kept that you can always go back to, kind of like a simple backup, you can turn on versioning here. And you sit here to enable it. What this will do is you will see the latest version when you look at your S3 bucket, but you'll also have the ability to go back and look at the previous versions. And every time you update a file in the bucket, it will keep a new version. So keep that in mind if you're turning versioning on and you're uploading large files, that it's going to take up more space because it's keeping all the previous versions of the file as well. So this is where you would turn that on, and if you want to turn that on for the bucket, I would do that right when you create it. Logging, if you want to set up a detailed logging of all the accesses that go for this bucket, you can turn that on here. I will tell you it's very advanced and not very user-friendly, the logging that it does, but if you need a detailed access for whatever reason, whether it's a customer requirement or something you just want to have detailed knowledge of all the accesses, everybody that accessed what they accessed and when they accessed it from this bucket, you can turn that on here. And tagging, if you want to set up tags to keep easier track of your data within the bucket, you can create tags here. For this, I'm not going to turn any of that on. I'll just click Next. Permissions is very important, especially once you get data stored in here. You want to set up the users properly and groups. If you have multiple users that are going to access this, to make sure that only the users that need to see the information in here can see it, and only the people that need to have write access to the bucket have that access. So not setting this properly can cause you problems where someone inadvertently or unknowingly deletes data or changes data when they shouldn't. So setting up your permissions is very important. You don't have to do it all right now. If you do have users that you know you want to add in here, And right now in this account I only have one. You can set that up here to make sure you at least have a starting point for permissions. But I would come back and visit this once you've got everything created and all of your data in the bucket to make sure the permissions are set properly. And click on Next. And here it's going to review everything that you've done as far as setting up the properties of your bucket. You can just review it here, and then you click on Create Bucket. And you'll see here at the bottom, I have my bucket SSWP-YouTube test. And from here, I can create folders. Once now I'm in the bucket, create folders. I can upload files directly to this and do a lot of the same things you would do in a normal Windows Explorer type interface. Rename, delete, and things like that in this interface here. So that's all I really wanted to show you for this video as far as how to create a bucket. A couple of things to keep in mind is the bucket name needs to be unique, and always remember to set your permissions properly. Don't just take the default permissions, especially if this is going to be accessed by people outside of Amazon AWS, like if you're going to set up a static website or make this portion of this bucket or folder within this bucket open permissions where anybody can read. So that's all I have for this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please feel free to like it and subscribe. And with that, I will see you in the next video.